finally hit Oscar nominations day after working on this project since last July. So 8 or 9 or 10 months ago, we started working on Oscar predictions, and we still got 5 or 6 weeks before the actual ceremony. But we're here with Paul Sheehan is with me today, our executive editor. Chris Beachum, the managing editor. You can watch our videos with our other editors and some of our freelancers, contributors, as well as our video. But we're going to talk about who we're already predicting. Just within 30 minutes of us opening up the Oscar Prediction Center, over 700 people had already made predictions. So it's starting to gel together, at least in terms of early frontrunners. Paul, off the nominations day itself, I want to congratulate you. You were the best among the 11 editors making predictions. Was there a particular one or two in there that made you most excited?
Oh, it's not the ones I'm excited about. It's always the ones I kick myself. Like, why did I switch to David Strathairn for Nomadland? There took out somebody. Took out Chadwick Boseman. So I spend more time focusing on the ones I should have gotten than the ones I got. But listen, if we're giving out congratulations, Sunday night was the Grammy Awards. And Chris, where did you rank among the thousands of people that were predicting the Grammys?
Well, and keep in mind, I don't keep up with music nearly as much as I do movies and TV. We had 3,700 people predicting. I finished 7th.
That's exactly. So having said all that, what really matters is, like you said, is not the nominations, but what's going to win. And I think that, starting with the Best Picture race, it was surprising, certainly, that One Night in Miami wasn't in there. And really, we use the word shockaroo, that Ma Rainey wasn't in there either. But of the other contenders, I mean, I could think you could make a strong case for many of them winning. Nomadland, certainly. But I think that the one film that we may be underestimating, because I feel like it's sort of the zeitgeist of it all, is Promising Young Woman. And I feel like it ticked a couple of boxes. I mean, the acting, the directing, the screenplay, that's something I'm going to keep an eye on. And one of the things that we do at Gold Derby is track all the precursors. So, for instance, how will Promising Young Woman do at SAG, at DGA? Was there a film among the Best Picture nominees that you sort of are now sort of thinking maybe it's got more of a chance than I thought?
Well, I went ahead and made my predictions. I'm the one that builds the events, so I'm usually the first one in there. I'm the only one that knows it's up, that first couple of minutes. I put Nomadland at number 1, but it really feels like to me that Minari could win.
Yeah.
That Trial of the Chicago 7, I thought really performed well today.
That's right.
I think those 3 are probably your if you grouped them in like 3, and 2 or something, I think that's they all have directing. I think all 3 of those have editing, right? Well, Minari may not have editing.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. Trial may be a little bit ahead of Minari, but they all 3, and no, Trial didn't get in for Aaron Sorkin on directing. So
right.
Nomadland is the only one I think that hit picture, directing, screenplay, editing, which are really the 4 that you look at often for making a Best Picture prediction.
Right. I do think the editing one, the editing nomination it's still important, but I think it's lost the kind of absolute must need. And I think the thing that I love to write about at Gold Derby is the math of it all, the preferential ballot. And I always sit there and think, well, what film, if you've got a favorite, Judas is your favorite, and maybe it doesn't continue when they're doing that round after round of counting. What film are you likely to put in second? What film are you likely to put in third? I always say getting the nomination, it meant that there was passion. You had passionate support. But to win, it's consensus. So you don't have to be loved by everyone. You've just got to be liked, really liked. You've got to be the Sally Field of Best Pictures.
You can't be hated. You can't be marked down in 8th place consistently by a bunch of people.
So you mentioned the directing race and Aaron Sorkin not being nominated because he'd been nominated DGA, but they rarely match up. I know Joyce Eng on our site wrote a wonderful piece. The last time they matched up was the year that Catherine Bigelow won. So the only time a woman's won directing. So now we've got 2 women in there and the 3 men. And I got to give it a shout out to Zach Laws, and one of the writers on our site. He had a sense that Thomas Vinterberg might be nominated for another round. I don't know. I didn't check his predictions, whether he followed. Did he follow through on that? But he does.
Zach has a feeling about everybody. Over the course of a few months, he will make the case for everything happening, so that on a day like today, and go, I told you this might happen. You'll say, did you predict him? No, I didn't predict him.
Well, the fact that he even knew the name of the director.
Well, that's very strong for somebody to get into a very competitive directing race with no precursors. Not getting in at BAFTA, not getting in it at, did he get in at BAFTA for directing?
Yes, he did get in at BAFTA.
He did get in at BAFTA. Okay, that is impressive. Especially when they did their nominations this year. Yeah,
but certainly I think that just as she's consistently won the Critics Awards, I think at this point of the race, and don't forget, everyone, voting doesn't happen till tax day, till April 15th. So those Oscar voters will file their taxes and then they'll file their Oscar ballots. But at this point, I think most people would accept that Chloe Zhao is the front runner in that race. But again, since that preferential ballot came back in when they expanded the Best Picture race, there are years where somebody wins directing, their film doesn't win Best Picture. So I don't think it's even if she's sort of is considered the front runner for director, it doesn't mean her film is a lock to win Best Picture.
And she herself could win 4.
Yes,
she's up for editing, writing, directing, and producing.
And Joyce Greg wrote about that again. Our Joyce is our in-house stats expert, the first woman to ever be nominated for 4 Academy Awards in one night. Now, another historic first was Viola Davis becomes the first Black actress to have 4 nominations. And I know throughout the season, Viola sort of was in first, but I feel like now there's somebody else coming along, isn't there, in Best Actress that could, and it's not Frances McDormand. We thought she might win that 3rd Best Actress Oscar. Don't you think that The Promising Young Woman is promising?
Absolutely. And what I've been saying about Frances for especially since we saw Globes and Critics' Choice winners, usually a person that's going to join that very tiny group of 6 people that's won 3 acting Oscars or more, they're winning along the way. I mean, Daniel Day-Lewis, by the time he got to the Oscars, was a lock. Even Meryl Streep, who was the one right before him, was winning about half the awards. Her and Viola Davis were splitting that season. Frances, other than the Critics Awards that are not televised, regionally Critics Awards, she hasn't won anything. So I don't think that's going to put her into the first time. The 2 I'm looking at most are Carrie Mulligan, because of what you were talking about earlier, the overwhelming support for Promising Young Woman, and it is a over-the-top performance. But Andra Day, I'm going to tell you, that Golden Globe win could be telling. They love when people play real-life people, especially just 2 years ago, Rami Malek winning for playing a singer. Here, Andra Day's playing Billie Holiday. That could happen, but she's going to have to pull a Regina King, and she doesn't have SAG and she doesn't have BAFTA, so she's got to get around that.
That's right. Yeah. And, it's so interesting. This, of any year that would maybe help somebody who's probably not as comfortable with the campaigning aspect, the schmoozing, the kissing babies and shaking hands, like a Frances McDormand. We'd have sense, well, this could be her year. She doesn't have to do the real life, the in-person campaigning. But and so Carrie Mulligan, maybe overseas, but she doesn't need to be on the ground this year the way that they have been in the past. And I think
Frances can win a 3rd Oscar for producing.
That's right.
Well, I mean, it's like she's won 2 for acting. This will be for producing. It doesn't put her in that group of 6 we're talking about, because all of those are 1 for acting only. But she certainly could get a 3rd Oscar and join her husband as being a Best Picture winner.
But I think the one thing the Oscars teach us, and you and I are old enough to remember some of the really big shocks from decades past, but certainly from just a couple of years ago, where everyone, I think including Olivia Colman, thought that Glenn Close was going to win Best Actress for The Wife, and she didn't. So now we've got the Glenn Close Olivia Colman rematch down in supporting actress. Do you, at this point in the race, do you see either of them being the winner in
I don't
supporting
know what
actress?
to do here. I really
Okay.
don't. This might be the single toughest acting race I can remember at the Oscars in a decade, maybe longer. Not because I've always gotten them right, but you could almost always narrow them down, like you just said, to two people. Like that year, it was going to be Glenn Close or it was going to be Olivia Colman. It wasn't going to be anybody else. You can make the case based on nominations today or awards history that it could be any of these five.
That's right.
Borat overperformed. Got in for screenplay, which a lot of people weren't doing. And Maria Bakalova being really the breakout star of the year. Sorry, the sirens are coming through. Close 8th nomination. Not too many people get to that level without winning. I guess Peter O'Toole's the only one, right? On the acting side. I don't think it's going to be Olivia Colman, just because it's been so recent. And I think if she was going to start dominating this race, we would have seen it somewhere. I mean, the Globes had never given her a loss, a couple of weeks ago. Amanda Seyfried, Mank, did quite well today. The one I've put in first, at least to launch the prediction center, is Ya Jung-yoon. I think she might be the winner here.
Yeah, and again, somebody that American audiences don't know, but she's a very well-respected actress in Korea. And I do wonder, this isn't your dad's Oscars. Like the Academy, that drive to expand the membership, to increase diversity, to go much more international. And I wonder, had Glenn Close been at nomination number 7 a decade ago, she would have won. It would have been, there's sentimental, it wasn't the best performance maybe, but it's time, she's overdue. And so I kind of feel like the old guard that might have given people a sentimental Oscar, like really Al Pacino for Scent of a Woman. That's not, Chris does, among many things he does at Gold Derby, is oversees our best of photo galleries. And I dare not ask, where does Scent of a Woman rank in Al Pacino's best performances, or does it even rank?
Right, not in the top 10. I do think Glenn Close could win. I might switch over to her before we get too many weeks in. The best thing that happened to her, the one thing we always said 2 years ago when she lost, was there was just no support for the wife beyond her.
Right.
And a lot of people didn't even make it through the whole movie. It just wasn't that great of a movie, to be honest, now that we're 2 years away. 2 years later, I heard from several people. We were actually able to go to parties and events and things, and they would say, they started it, didn't finish it, or still in a pile of things to watch, or whatever the case might be. Getting in for makeup here is big. I know it's not the most exciting, glamorous of awards, but just the fact that Hillbilly Elegy got in for makeup and got an extra nomination does help her, I think. And
as I recall, Meryl Streep, Iron Lady, I'll say won makeup.
And then could win makeup, by the way. I mean, that is not impossible to think that it could. The first image you think of is Glenn Close in the trailer, all made up to not look remotely like Glenn Close, and that's the makeup, hair, and her. So it could be a Iron Lady kind of a situation, win makeup and win for Glenn Close.
Well, it's interesting because, when Olivia Colman won Best Actress for The Favorite, and one of our writers at the site, Matthew Stewart, times every performance in every category. And, Olivia Colman was on screen far less than her supporting actress contenders, Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone. And so you wonder about over here in supporting actor with Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya both being nominated in supporting actor for Judas and the Black Messiah. So that the studio was hoping Lakeith, they were promoting him in Best Actor, right, Chris? Yeah.
Oh yeah, they were. He wasn't even in our prediction center for supporting. The only thing we didn't have in the prediction center that didn't come true, or that we missed on. So nobody could predict that. Nobody was going to hit 100%, although we didn't know that till this morning. I do wonder about people knocking each other out. Some votes.
Yes.
We talk about, but usually the vote split only happens when we feel like the voting body can't make a decision, and it does seem like Daniel Kaluuya is winning everything. So I do think he would be the obvious choice if they were wanting to reward Judas. So I do think that that's not going to happen in this particular case. I wonder about Leslie Odom, but I think he may be in a Lady Gaga situation where they give him song, but don't give him. They do have that out with him. And then Sasha Baron Cohen. I mean, he probably had the best day of anybody in terms of he has double nominations himself. Borat gets in for Maria, and Trial, gets a ton of nominations. So they may want to give Sasha something because I don't think he's winning screenplay. They may want to give him something for having a great year.
And then just in that category also is Paul Raci from Sound of Metal, which I think, again, through the course of the season, we saw it coming up. And I think there's a sense that maybe it and Judas kind of when they needed to perform. They got those Best Picture nominations and according to our odds, at the expense of Da 5 Bloods and News of the World. And so it's about the timing of things. And so what we skipped over when we were talking Best Actor, because again, at this point in the race, I think we both feel that Chadwick Boseman is the strong favorite in that race at this moment.
I think so. He has won the various televised shows that we've seen. The biggest thing going for him in terms of ultimate vote, there's not really a second person that you go automatically go. Right. If it's not Chadwick, it's because I know people that want Rez to win. I know people that want Anthony Hopkins to win. I don't think Gary Oldman would win this soon after the other one. But Stephen Yeun has his supporters. So usually we see on any of these Emmys, Oscars, Tonys, when you see multiple people going after a front runner, right, with real conviction and support, that helps the front runner really because the votes spread out. What did give me pause was just because, as I said, I was expecting Chadwick Boseman to also be nominated for Da 5 Bloods. So I just sort of went, oh, because we thought he was going to make history as the first posthumous nominee with 2 acting nominations in the same year. James Dean had them consecutively. I think it's still, every race is open, wide open, slightly ajar, but they're certainly open. And I think that one of the great things that helps me when I make my predictions is going to the Gold Derby odds, which, as you said, are already live. They get updated hourly. And based on upwards of 700 people predicting, we've already seen shifts in every race in just a few hours. So certainly... Well, and that's today, 700. It'll be 8,000, 9,000, 10,000 by the day of the Oscars. Yeah. And I'm excited. I'm excited for this year's Oscars. Odds really help me on narrowing down, at least on the shorts. Yeah. Those are always so difficult to figure, what way a voter will go. And remember, voters, the whole body of voters, the branches selected the nominees, but everybody votes on all 23. But it doesn't mean they always do. When I do those anonymous voter phone calls, they'll talk to me about, well, I did, these 12 races, but I didn't feel comfortable voting on the shorts because they don't have time to watching all of them, or I didn't have time to watch the documentary features, or they're pretty high-minded about, self-policing themselves about what they vote on. So really, as you get into the shorts categories, maybe something like visual effects or documentary or international, the numbers of people actually voting on those goes down. So the number of votes you need to win is smaller. That's right. And just I'm mindful of you always have such good advice when it comes to predicting. I know one thing, and I didn't listen to your advice this year. I should have. I'm kicking myself on looking to BAFTA nominations sometimes, or certainly BAFTA winners as when you're sort of can't decide what will that 5th nominee be. I made my Oscar predictions this morning, and then I updated the roster that we have. Right, every single Guild Award. We also have BAFTA, and I was reminded as I was updating my BAFTA predictions. Something like my one and only Ivan was a nominee for visual effects over in BAFTA, and so, gosh, of course I should have thought of that it was going to be a nominee here. So that's really a testament to you that we've got so many things to predict, including those Tony Awards. Whenever we don't know when they're coming. Well, they're at the bottom of the list now because we still don't have a date, and I pretty much go by Oscars are on top, and then I go by date. pretty much on the
And-
others. It's around 20 events to predict right now.
Right. But when everyone finishes updating all their film predictions and those Tony Awards, Emmy Awards are live, even though they're not happening until the fall. But Chris has worked like tirelessly in the wee small hours. And so
Riley Chow and I built that event. Normally it launches Oscar weekend, but we couldn't wait that long, obviously, this year. But it is up, and it's got 16 categories. And what you'll find when you go in there is the sheer volume of last year's nominees that are gone. It's comedy, for example. I believe it's 7 out of 8 comedy series from last year are gone. So good luck trying to figure out. And honestly, everybody's votes, the mass public that gets in there and makes predictions, which is over 1,000 already. It really helps determine some of the strategy that the studios and networks use. They'll look at it and go, oh, well, Gold Derby, everybody's predicting my prediction for lead, but they're not for supporting, so maybe I should do that. Or they try to figure those kind of things out. Or we've had people, you don't even know this story, but I'll tell you a quick story. When we launched the Prediction Center over a decade ago, the lady at Showtime called me and said, we weren't going to submit Eli Wallach for Nurse Jackie, but we saw that you were not only had him in the Prediction Center, but were predicting him to get in for guest actor. So they put him on the ballot that spring, and he actually got nominated. So Gold Derby brought him a nomination that he might not have gotten. Well, he wouldn't have.
Isn't that something?
The studios look and they'll go, oh, we hadn't thought about submitting X person for an award. Let's put them in there. So anyway, everybody's predictions do matter. Absolutely.
Well, I'm so glad we got a chance to do this, because we've let so many of the other people at the site shine, and it's time. We're the old guard, and we and the next time we'll invite our founder, Tom O'Neill, to take part. But we wanted this one to be just the two of us. Thanks, Chris. That was fun.
Yeah, thank you so much.